There you go.
Auxiliary power, they call it. Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. There's the camera. That's what we need to look at, Graham.
I was pressing the remote and it's been a bit iffy.
And I have no patience with these newfangled technological things.
Gadgets.
Yes,
You're not a
gadgets.
techie, darling, now.
No. No, well, I am, but no, not really.
Sort of. And she's very good in some ways and not in others.
Yeah. Anyway, this evening's video, because it's evening here, completely different subject, is all about cancer. Because Graham has cancer and he's very, very bravely agreed for me to sort of interview him and talk about it. And the reason I wanted to do this is I feel it's very important because you've done quite a few vlogs on your channel, and we made the point the other day, there's a guy when we go into oncology and he's all on his own, and a lot of people I see in your comments are all on their own. And there's one lady who's too scared to tell her husband and adult children she's got a little bit of something she's worried about, and she's not one for going to doctors, and I completely agree with that. So I asked Graham if he would do this video with me to clear up some myths, really, and fears. What myths that we had before this all started.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into your specific details because I know you don't want that, but I thought it might help people who are on their own. There is a thing out there called the Budwick diet. Joanna Budwick, she was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize several times but didn't get one. I think General Gaddafi got his, and a few other dodgy characters, so make what you will of that.
Well, Noble himself was a manufacturer of dynamite, wasn't he, and explosives, smokeless powder. So I don't know how he got a Peace Prize, or even had the audacity to promote a Peace Prize when he'd been blowing people up with his product, you know. But that's a subject for another story, I suppose.
Well, years ago, back in 2014, we have a very, very good friend who we call Mr. Bond. He's marvellous and he's threatening to come down, and you will love Ben.
He's really funny.
Love him. He's absolutely. If you like Daniel Boland, you'll love Ben. Ben is a lot like Boland, isn't he? Funnier, actually. Funnier. He's shocking. Very shocking character. Anyway, about 2014, we were having a beer with him in Gibraltar, and he said, and I have to put a big disclaimer in on this when we're talking about the Budwick diet: if you have cancer or fear you have cancer, please don't take advice from YouTubers like us. Go to a doctor or talk to your family or do anything but get advice. This is literally just conversational. Anyway, Ben said, I don't understand why people go to oncologists anymore when there's a cure for cancer. It's called the Budwick diet. And basically what it is, in the 1950s, Joanna Budwick, I think she died when she was 96 or 99, but in the 1950s...
She was a proper doctor though, wasn't she? She's like specialist in her field.
She was a scientist like Marie Curie.
Yeah.
She was, I can't remember the fancy terms because they have so many fancy terms, don't they? She was a biologist, she was a biochemist, she was a...
You can Google it, you can Google her, Joanna Budwig, Budwig, isn't it?
Yeah. And she said that there would be an epidemic of cancer in the decades to come. She was talking in the 1950s. And she said it's because a lot of the oils, to increase the shelf life, manufacturers boil the oil to a high temperature and then cool it. And she said that's a disaster. And she said the best way to cure not only cancer but high blood pressure and heart disease, improve all kinds of health problems, is to get cottage cheese and flaxseed oil and blend them together, and it's like into a yogurt. It tastes like natural yogurt.
It's horrible. It's really horrible.
I like it.
I don't.
You don't like it at all, do you?
But I'm taking it anyway, just in case it does me any good.
Well, when Graham was... You were diagnosed on the 17th of May. And what did that feel like when the...
I thought, okay. I mean, I sort of suspected as much. It didn't come as a big shock to me because I suspected. I did my own sort of diagnosis, but I'm not an expert in these things. You know, you'd hope it's something else, but I was prepared for it. I think mentally, for sure. And when he said, "Yeah, that's what it is," I said, right, okay. So that's when we started taking the Budwig, and I had to have a what do you call them?
Biopsy.
So they can analyse it under a microscope and go, oh yeah, that's what it is.
The pathologist, yes.
Yeah, so it took 2 weeks, I think, or more to start the chemo. And in that 2 weeks, I was taking flaxseed oil and cottage cheese, the Budwig diet, I'm not being paid by the Budwig diet. I want to, because there is a Budwig clinic in America, right? So you can look it up, you can Google it. And they claim to have a lot of success with cancers.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, it's not going to hurt, is it? I mean, it is quite disgusting, I think, you know. And at times it depends how Fiona prepares it, because if she puts, at first she was putting loads of oil in there and it's like, it's disgusting. But if you mask the taste with other things, but the point is, if you just take a spoonful of it on its own, she reckons it goes straight through you and it comes out
like a Porsche.
It doesn't stay in the body. But if you mix it with flaxseed oil, with the cottage cheese, your body's able to absorb more of it, and this sort of resets everything. And people have I've seen loads of testimonies on YouTube. You can look it up, look into it. Because what I'm saying to you is, what have you got to lose? You know, if you've got cancer, and the doctors have said, oh, you're going to die. There's nothing we can do. Get on the flaxseed oil and the cottage cheese blended together, because you've got nothing to lose. And if they're right, it's going to sort you out. And if not, you're going to die anyway, aren't you? So I know that's a bit of a cold-hearted way of putting it, but...
Well, the guy who broke the news about your diagnosis, he's a genius. He's an absolute genius. He's Harley Street material.
Oh, he's proper boffin, yeah.
But he was absolutely brutal. And he looked Graham dead in the eye and said, this is the problem, and it's a massive problem. And he was talking about flying you out to London to guys.
Surgery to remove the offending.
Yes,
and I thought, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, it was like being hit by a truck. Then he did the biopsy. He's lovely. He went and spoke to you in great detail. He took the time. I was waiting outside. He came out, said exactly the same thing to me. What? Change of plan. We're not flying him to London. We're going to put him on chemo, and he's going to feel like he's hit by a bus. We'll probably do that for 6 weeks, and then we'll fly him out. Then the plan changed again. And the thing is, basically, after 2 cycles, your response, and what neither of us realised until last night, because I compared the 2 radiology.
The first scan with this.
The first scan, where Graham was given the diagnosis, because they'd always said there's one big tumour and there's a little one, and they gave us the impression the little one was growing out of the big one, but it wasn't, and it wasn't that little either. The big tumour was nearly 4 centimetres in length, and the little tumour was 1.5. Now, after 2 weeks of Budwig diet, and I'm not saying you should do this as an alternative to going to a doctor,
no,
but after 2 weeks, his major symptoms cleared up within about 4 days, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, your diet's changed. We've had you on tuna steak, salmon fillet, avocados.
I've had no symptoms since the 20th of June.
Yeah.
And
Gazpacho.
it was 10 days before that.
Because when they say in the chemo books you've got to have 5 a day vegetables and stuff, I mean that's a big thing. So I thought gazpacho, that's got a lot in it. The doctors were very impressed. And basically what's happened is his 4 centimetre tumour is now a 2 centimetre tumour. That is a 50% reduction. And the 1.5 centimetre tumour,
the small one,
has disappeared. They have not said it's gone. What they say, which I find bizarre, is we can't see it. Now, unless we're going to believe in the invisible man and magical properties, if you can't see something, it's not there anymore. So one tumour has
Maybe.
completely gone, and this is a relatively short space of time.
Yeah.
And they are really excited
A month.
at the oncology. Yes, in a month. In a
Yeah.
month. The oncologist and his staff are really, really excited at the fact that one tumour's gone and the other tumour has shrunk by 50%.
Because the cycles in chemotherapy, they give you the chemo over 3 days. 2 days at first, then they leave it 7 days, give you the last bit, and then they give you a week off, and then they start the second cycle.
2 weeks off.
Well, it's supposed to be 2 weeks, but it was less
No,
than
no,
that.
no. It's 3 weeks. They call it 3 weeks. It's actually, they leave you alone for 2 weeks, so your white blood cells can build up because.
And they're constantly doing your blood tests before you go for your next cycle.
And Graham is on the harshest. He's on cisplatin and gemcitabine, a cocktail of those two, which is really harsh. But they always said to you from the beginning, it's because you're young, you're fit and healthy, you're a sea captain, you're not overweight.
Yeah.
And they said it's not going to be a walk in the park, but we know you can do it.
The hair is falling out. It's getting thin. But I mean,
the reason hair falls out, I think it's
it
important.
attacks the follicles because it's attacking cancers and follicles, and then your hair starts to
The
fall out.
cisplatin can't distinguish between blood cells that are good and tumour cells that are bad. It just kills across the board. And one of the things is hair follicles. But as the oncologist, bless him, he's so good looking. He's got a lovely suntan. I think he's Portuguese.
Or Spanish.
And,
I thought he was Spanish.
He might be Spanish, I don't know. He speaks beautiful English. And Graham said, look at me hair, because you've got a bit fluffy.
It does fall out. I mean, someone cracked a joke the other day and said you look like a dandelion clock. And me and her laughed about it, and I thought I better not put my head out the car window. I mean, I'll get to the point where I'll have to shave it, but that doesn't bother me because she usually shaves it twice a year anyway. So
only if you insist. You go on and on.
well, I can't be bothered going to barbers and things.
But the oncologist said, "Oh yeah, see, you've still got your hair." And Graham went, "No, look, it's falling out." And he went, "Well, it'll grow back. Mine won't."
Oops.
Bless him.
Check,
bless
please.
him. So we press on, and the other thing is your type of cancer is very rare for your type of person. I'm not going to specify, but Graham falls into the 2% of people who get this. It's very unusual, and they reckon 18 months. That's how long the urologist reckons.
It had been there. So one of the questions I asked was, how long do you think that's been there then?
Yeah.
So I didn't even notice it till January. And
This year, and he said and we spoke to him in April, and he said, I reckon that's been there 18 months. So I'm thinking back 18 months ago. So we were doing all the lives with you guys over Christmas. Wasn't then. Was the previous Christmas. And I didn't realise until today when he got a phone call from his son's girlfriend, Liz.
not Ben.
Not Ben. From Graham's first marriage.
Yeah, his older brother. Yeah.
And Graham said, oh, it's Liz. Liz calls us because Richard's in prison. And he answered it, and there was Richard. He's on home leave, and oh, that was marvellous.
So I was on a high today. I had a chat with my boy. Yeah.
That was lovely.
He's not allowed to ring out the country apparently. They've got phones and things, and you can do video calls and things.
No, you mean when he's in prison?
When he's in the nick, but he's on a bit of a home leave, so he was because they let you out and you got to be back for 5 o'clock or something like that. So.
Oh, we're all thrilled. We're all thrilled that Richard's doing
if you come
great.
back and you behave yourself, they'll give you another home leave in a few weeks' time. And that's how it works in category D.
And that's when the penny dropped with me today. I thought, what happened 18 months ago? Richard was sent to prison for 4 years.
It was quite stressful. I didn't think he'd go to prison for having an opinion on YouTube.
And
Obviously, people took offence, and
What I think, because I mean I'd already gone down the theory, I thought, what happened 18 months ago? And I thought, well, Graham's been eating kebabs.
I can't see that. I can't see that. I eat loads of kebabs. That's really unhealthy.
Just kebabs. Benji passed his first A1 motorbike licence 18 months ago, and as soon as he passed that, we got him a little 125 motorbike, and Graham would say to him, go to the kebab shop, Ben. And Ben loves kebabs. Babkis, let's have babkis. And Ben was buying 5 or 6 for himself. He's greedy. You were having 3, and I did say to you,
1.
ease up on
One.
Oh, Graham, give it a rest. You were having 3, and then bit by bit you were eating
I had
less
no
and less
idea that
less.
kebab meat is that bad, you know, for
And
you.
also
And
another.
I'm not blaming kebabs for it, but I mean, maybe it was on the suspect list, you know.
And also, I was very frustrated because I was trying to fix the boat and the house, and you became a lot more listless. In general, like you'd given up on life a lot. And look at them, when Richard phoned today, I thought that was the trip. Richard being sent to prison. That's what did
The
it.
timeline's right, isn't it?
It is. It is. For 4th of December, he was sent to prison, wasn't he?
The beginning of December, yeah.
Yeah. But he's going to be out very, very soon, and my kids love him. These are kids from a previous marriage with Graham, Vicky and Richard. And Vicky phoned up the other day.
Yesterday.
Bless her. And I mean, Vicky loves going AWOL, so we hadn't been able to tell her.
Yeah.
Richard knew, and she found out she watched YouTube, and she found out.
No, I think her mum told her. I don't know how her mum found out.
I think her mum maybe subscribed. No, she phoned Faith, and Faith said, Vicky's just phoned me. She's coming, because she disappears for long periods, like Wally. We don't know
I
where
love
she
her to bits.
is.
I love all my kids, but you know, some of them are more difficult than others.
They're beautiful.
I
all
know
of
you're
them.
watching, Vicky. Love you, darling.
They're all lovely. They're all lovely. They're all different personalities. They're all different characters. But the point of this video was for anyone who's sort of feeling a little bit alone, or if you're worried, I mean, get things checked out, because we didn't go. Graham developed symptoms in the January, so we just finished doing all the Christmas lives with you guys, and it was quite alarming. And I looked it up, and the NHS, and they said, don't panic, keep a diary. And the episodes were getting shorter and shorter and shorter until in the end, it was like every other day.
Went to the hospital, and they said, okay, we'll look into it, and there we are. So, moving on from that, what was it you wanted to ask me?
I've forgotten.
Anyway, it's going to get, the plan is this thing's going to get smaller and smaller, and then it's going to disappear forever.
Yes.
Hopefully. But, you know, and the Budwig diet, I'm not saying anybody should not seek medical advice from the professionals, obviously not. But you can do the Budwig diet as well, because it won't do any harm, will it?
Well, what we do, because they advise Budwig diet, you take it 4 or 5 times a day, like a whole bowl. That's not what we've been doing. Just one little pot of cottage cheese with a bit of flaxseed oil, quite a bit of flaxseed oil in it, and blended. And what I've discovered recently is that if I add a bit of salad cream, it's like potato salad.
It was all right with the potato salad yesterday. You could hardly taste it, but you know, if you overdo it, it just hits that gag muscle and you want to throw up. It's not actually a nice thing, but I'm thinking, well, compared to the benefits of it, I think I'll suffer, you know.
Well, what I do is, before you do a cycle, like you're doing a cycle on Monday and
Next
Tuesday,
week, yeah.
I go and buy liver, because it's really, really good for you. And I load him up with liver and that, so it helps his immune system. And I think what happened was, I was just constantly giving you the Budwig every day. Did the first cycle, and obviously sickness is a side effect. He was okay then. It was the second cycle. You just said, that's hitting my gag muscle. I just cannot anymore.
Yeah. I mean, at the best of times, you got to like gulp it down, you know, because it's horrible.
It is not.
I'm not trying to say it's nice. She eats half of it just to put a nose in my face.
No, I don't. I eat half of it because it's good for me.
It's
but
good
I'm
for
just
you, yeah.
saying,
well, probably, maybe.
This video is not medical advice. Don't take any medical advice.
It's telling you
us.
what we're doing and what we've found out and what we're doing.
And basically, the nub of it is that we were looking down a double-barrel shotgun about a month and a half ago. And now the oncology department themselves are in astonishment and disbelief. Now maybe it is the cisplatin and the gemstatin. Maybe it is.
Well, they'll be convinced it is.
Of course, because I raised the subject a little bit with the urologist, and he just said, do what you like, try what you like. I raised it a bit with the oncologist. He was like, never heard of it.
But the danger with alternative medicine is, I mean, you get Barry.
might not
Do you know
work.
Barry Sheen? Barry Sheen, the motorbike rider. He was the
Yeah.
500cc world champion motorbike rider. He went off to live in Australia and he got cancer. And his wife said, well, he didn't want the chemotherapy. He just went on this diet, this herbal remedy diet that's supposed to cure cancer. And of course, sure enough, he died.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about all of this. The thing is, when we first we actually went to accident and emergency in Gibraltar in the middle of the night, because there's no queue. That's the quickest way. And we were both terrified. And then, of course, when they referred us, and then when you got the the diagnosis, that was just so shocking.
They're doing blood tests every 5 minutes. You know, that's what they did straight away. They said blood test.
But since that, I mean, they are so brilliant. And I believe that would be the same in any hospital in the world.
They're very good.
They are just, medical professionals are just so good. And they do take into account people are scared. So don't be scared of going and talking to them. Don't. But in the end, we discussed Budwig only, chemotherapy only, or both.
Well, you do, don't you? You assess all your options. You know, you don't just go head first into whatever the doctor says, because you got to weigh up all the options, haven't you?
And as I said, I mean, I haven't said it on my channel. When we had the meeting with the oncologist about the massive reduction, you know, one tumour's completely gone and the other one's, it's not only half the size, it's deteriorated on the scan. It's veritably see-through. I did say to him, it's very interesting because, you know, working at the dolphin safari, it's not an exact science working with wild animals. And I said, what you're doing is not an exact science, because the wild card is the patient. Each person is very
different,
individual.
and they take things differently. Yeah.
And the guy said to me, welcome to my world. That's exactly what we're doing in oncology. We're feeling our way through. So a large part of an oncologist's job is to talk to you as a patient. So if you are worried, don't be worried, don't be scared, go to the doctor.
Definitely seek medical advice. Don't keep it to yourself, because the longer you keep it to yourself, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah.
If it's what you think it is. And if it is what you think it is, it's best to find it sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Because your chances of survival are higher. I mean, I don't know how this is going to pan out at the end.
No.
We're all obviously hoping for the best, and there's loads of people out there
positive.
praying for us and sending best wishes, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
And that is
the support
lovely.
We've had.
It's wonderful the way you've all been there. It's like you've been going through it with us.
There's some trolls out there that want to stick the knife in and say horrible things, but
who cares about
they're mentally ill. You know, they closed the asylums years ago to save money, and that's where they belong.
I would actually say to people, please pray for the trolls, because it is an illness. They are lonely people.
They are mentally ill. I feel
people.
sorry for them, because they've got nothing better to do than troll people just for a bit
I
of
don't
attention.
want to talk about them. Anyway, thank you very much for agreeing to open up a little bit about it.
Well, we're all going to die one day, but we think, well, not today.
Not today, Maverick.
And further away from today as possible, thank you, please. Yes.
And thank you all very much for the kind wishes. You have no idea how much it's meant. Please reserve them for anybody out there who's on their own, who's going through this on their own.
Can I just take this opportunity to help my channel? Graham the Baron Hesketh, I'm her husband. And I've got my own YouTube channel, so you can follow me and you can see lots more of Fiona.
I'm never on your channel. I'm not in the flight
you
sim.
are.
What am I going to do? Whiz around your
I do some boring flight sim videos, but if you're not into that, just don't watch it. It's obvious which ones are the flight sim videos.
Thank you very much for listening, and I hope everybody is doing well.